dad bod is a sign you care about your family more than yourself.
That's just not true. The real way to care about your family and the people that depend on you is to take care of your health, to be a capable man, husband, and father so that you can protect and provide, not just now, not just for the next 5 years, next 10 years, but for as long as possible.
I don't know if I've ever had this reaction. If you look at someone who looks like really out of shape, and I've said to myself, you know what, man? Damn, dude, that guy, he really cares about his family.
What are you going to do now that you're listening to this to start changing things? That's the important thing.
I pass zero judgment on anybody for anything. You are where you're at. But when you're ready, dude, we are going to help you transform. We are going to help level you up. And we are going to welcome everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Gabe Yanez and I, we are on for our weekly episode where we talk all things fitness, family, and him and I were just talking quite a bit of business, in particular about Train Hard and about, you know, what it means to, from a leadership CEO perspective. And we were just rapping for like what, close to an hour or half an hour before we started recording.
Pretty good while.
We should have recorded
good pregame for the podcast.
We should have recorded that part of the episode. I think people would have been like, whoa, it's because Gabe and I, you know, although we're friends, although we do all kinds of stuff, we're also coworkers, right? And so we were talking about, we just got into a conversation about, you know, Train Hard, where we're going and what's going on. And I think it's a good example for people out there who are involved in the company is like, one of the takeaways that I had from our conversation was like finding a coach. And I think that I've had many coaches over the years for many different things. And Gabe currently has a running coach to help him with his marathon that he's doing like in a month or so. But I think that when it comes to leadership skills, I think there's been a lot of things I've tried to do. But I think if I'm being honest with myself, one area that I definitely can use some support with is having like this third party coach that can help me unlock my potential. And so it's just something I want to bring up here on the podcast because I feel like it's a very, I guess it's like an open thing to say. It's like, dude, I feel like I'm barely scratching, the team and I feel like we're barely scratching our potential. And I think that I need a coach to help me unlock it. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there who are listening who could relate to that. And I want to be kind of, what's the word, humble enough or whatever, man, you know, about it.
I mean, I think it's so important to identify that, like, if there's a specific area, whatever that is, like, I just can't figure out how to get my nutrition in check. I just can't figure out how to, you know, reach this specific time goal on a race. I just can't figure out how to bust out of this plateau. Like, there are people that have the info. And honestly, I'm pretty hard-headed about this stuff too, man. Like, I always want to, or think that there's something like more grand about figuring out yourself and just like doing it on your own. But I mean, you know, hiring a coach for this running is a perfect example of, I could have probably trained on my own. I could have done the research, but like, it's just kind of one of those things where having someone that's been through it, that knows the cheat codes, and that can also like give you the type of motivation or accountability that honestly you can never give yourself, I think is so valuable. And I think that it's even more, you have to be more vulnerable because like training for something is kind of easy, but finding a coach that's going to help you with like leadership or, you know, even like a relationship coach, like whatever that is, I think is tougher for people because you kind of have to admit that that's an area in your life where you're falling short. But I think that most people, me included, it's not even falling short. It's that if you really look in the mirror, I think that we can all admit that there's, in every area of our lives, we can do better. And if we can find someone that can help us do better, why wouldn't you do that? I guess is kind of what I come back to.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, you know, just to kind of like bring this around, I think that, you know, I've had a lot of coaches for fitness. I've had coaches for mindset. The mindset coaches have played a vital role in my life in terms of like some of the trauma and the adversity that our family has, you know, gone through. But I think from a business perspective, like what we have going on at Train Hard, and for all the listeners out there, like we're not we are on a mission at Train Hard to build highly capable men that act and look the part, and to create generational change and have just a bunch of badasses walking around, because the byproduct will only be successful for everybody else around them, men, women, children, everybody. And we're very convicted in that mission. But one thing that could hold us back, if I'm being honest, right, is me. It's me. And it's how well can I navigate to grow the message, to build awareness so we can get more people aligned on this shared vision moving forward. And if having a coach can help me do that better, impact more people's lives, provide for my family better, then I have an obligation to go check that out, right? And so that's ultimately what we were talking about.
Yeah, I love it, man. And I think it'll be a cool journey to share and, kind of what the learnings are. What does that process look like? But yeah, man, I think going into the new year especially is a good time for anyone to kind of like maybe do a little bit of like introspection on what are some areas that you felt short on, this past year. Obviously also celebrate the areas of growth and the areas that were pleasantly surprising of like, hey, like I really rocked it here. But it's also a really good time to acknowledge like, all right, what are the things that you can work on in the next year? As much as like, people go back and forth about the new year, new me. I think that at the end of the day, it is a good reset on the calendar. It's just a good time to like, hey, like look back on the year. What were some things that went really well? What are some opportunities to do better? And what are you doing to actually make those better next year so you can continue to grow? I think that it's a no-brainer to do that in the beginning of the year.
Dude, 100%. And with business, I don't know if I'll ever feel like we reached the pinnacle, right? But having other people, we talk about this a lot, having a spouse that's like got your back at all costs, right? I'm super grateful for that, right? But imagine if you could add somebody else to your team that isn't like on the company team, but just like has got your back, like someone who is aligned to someone you could talk to, someone who's pushing you forward. That isn't on like your business team. I feel like the more people that are just trying to push you forward, it just can't be a bad thing, right? It's just like training for anything. It's like if I had a jiu-jitsu, which speaking of which, I definitely want to do a jiu-jitsu tournament in 2025. But anyways, it's like having a coach that's pushing you forward. I think you could have that same relation to your business. And anywhere, anyone that's listening to this, if you have an area of your life that maybe you're finding some issues in, I think identifying someone who's done that or could help you get there, I think is critical. And like, for example, if I was having issues with my relationship, that'd be the first place I'd go. Like 100%, I'd find someone to help my wife and I, because that's the cornerstone. But we're good there. So what's the next step?
Yeah. That's the most important thing. We sent that out in a newsletter this week, man. Dude, I have a bone to pick with you. I'm gonna air this out right here on the podcast. So we're competing in Hyrox this weekend. Dude, and the entire week I've been trying to get you fired up. I've been sending you texts. I've been like, dude, we got to beat these guys. Like, this is the time to beat. This is a strategy video I found. Dude, and I've been getting a lot of like, hey, I'm just trying to have fun vibes from you. And bro, God. I did not choose to team up with a former CrossFit Games champion to go have fun at Hyrox.
Dude, you know what? I need you to carry me for some of those. If you could just carry me on your back for 2 or 3 of the runs right in the middle, I think I'm good to go. Dude. But this is a really good example to talk about, right? Because I've been running, I've been training, I've been doing the thing. But bro, I still feel like I'm fucking running with bricks on my feet. Like I do. But I'm glad we're doing Hyrox because I'm glad I'm doing it with you. I'm glad we're getting to go out there to go connect with the community. I'm probably a one and done guy, to be honest. Like
you can't. But I don't know yet. Like you're going in to this defeated, and
no, I'm not. See, this is a good conversation. We're not defeated. You know what? You're right. We're going in there to perform. It's just, what really deflated me was the last time we did the 70 minutes. I'm almost having like PTSD.
If you haven't watched that YouTube video, you have to go check it out.
I'm having like PTSD over it because I'm like, fuck. If I get like 40 minutes into this thing and I crash and burn, I'm going to look like a total dumbass and I'm going to let Gabe down because we're actually trying to win here. So I think that's what's like holding me back. I gotta figure out though. Yesterday or whatever, I ran on the treadmill for 30 minutes straight at like a high pace. I was like, all right, if I could run it 30 minutes straight at a relatively high pace, I'm building my confidence to get ready. But I think that's what's holding me back.
Dude, I think that we learned a lot in that run through. I think that it's so my plan, again, because we're at different levels, running, right? Is I'm going to try to like really push the stations beginning and end because I know that I can recover a little bit on the run. I think what's important, and I know this, and this is actually why I'm excited to compete with you because you're so competitive. But one of the reasons that I know we got so messed up on that run through was you were kind of watching my pace on the ski erg, and then you were like, well, I have to go faster than that. So then you were going hard on the ski erg, and that made me go hard on the ski erg. And we were almost like competing against each other versus realizing that, hey, we're on the same team here, and we have to approach the stations and the runs very, very differently because we're very, very different athletes. Because like, for example, like I watched a couple of different like Hyrox videos and stuff. Like I think that you can help us out immensely on like the sled push and pull. Like if we can get to those and like, that's where you like really do your thing. And then we kind of like recover with the run a little bit after that. Cause that's where a lot of the people that are really good runners, but just aren't like, they can't move weight. That's where a lot of people get stuck. So
have you actually seen him get stuck? Because the one that I did with Nick Bear was like 450 pounds. I think for us though, it's a little bit less.
I know ours is the heaviest weight that's out there because we're in the pro division. Yeah.
Okay, because when I looked it up online, it said men's elite was like 450 pounds. We could pull it up here, but like 450 pounds, and then doubles was like 350 pounds. But if it's the same weight, that's fine. I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
I'll send you the
heavier the better for me, actually.
Obviously, yeah. But yeah, man. I'm excited. I think that there were so many things when we did that run through that set us up for failure, like the fact that you are.
It made a damn good video. It made a really good video. Yeah,
I'm excited that people have been enjoying that. But yeah, man, dude, I'm trying to go in there. I am really, really bummed at our heat time. That is so inconvenient. It's great. It's that late. It's 7:40 p.m.
Oh, I mean, whatever. But I mean, when does Nick Bear go?
5:30, I think. So we'll watch him go first. So that'll be cool.
I think he's going to set a world record, dude. I mean, I could be totally wrong. He says that there's like the elite 15.
Call. I like it,
dude. I think that. I mean, Nick Bear, bro. I mean,
dude, Nick Bear's legit. But if you look at some of the guys that are at the top of the game, like Hunter McIntyre, as much as like people hate the guy because of like the whole CrossFit stuff, like he's a freak, dude, a freak runner and a freak like athlete. And he's like, I don't think he even has the fastest time, but he's one of those guys that's like top ranked.
According to Nick, he has the fastest Hyrox time ever, but he didn't win the world championships. So,
interesting.
So the world championships, whatever place he got, right? But during the season or at some point or whatever, he set the fastest Hyrox time.
Got it. Yeah. It's interesting because the whole thing about Hyrox is that it's the same course and event everywhere. But at the end of the day, like there's always going to be small differences that might make some courses faster than others. Like there's always going to be some difference.
A little bit, but I think it's much more consistent than,
for sure.
than the CrossFit model, right? Speaking of which, I don't know if you saw, I haven't been like super deep in the CrossFit space lately, but because I am on the affiliate council, I did see some messages come out that, I don't know if you saw it, but essentially they put out a message about, the unfortunate tragedy at the 2024 CrossFit Games, but they really weren't able to say much.
They didn't say anything.
They didn't really say anything. And so I don't know. I mean,
it's tough. I don't know if you saw, did you see what his brother posted?
No.
Oh, dude.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I did not. Wait, you mean like, I saw what he posted like months ago.
No. He recently posted in response to the fact. So to catch people up, if people haven't been keeping track of this, 2024 CrossFit Games, super unfortunate. First swim run event. Lazar Jukic drowns in that event. First, casualty in the CrossFit Games ever. Obviously a huge deal. The argument being that it was completely preventable and there wasn't enough safety in place to prevent such a tragedy, and that there was, a lot of wrong decisions made that allowed such a tragedy to happen. Super, super sad. His brother also competes, and they were both competing together. So super sad.
And he was competing at that same CrossFit game.
He was competing at that CrossFit game. He competed in that event, all that stuff. So obviously CrossFit comes out and says that they're going to hire a third party to do an independent investigation. And at the time, the CEO said, like, we are going to be as transparent as we can about, these things. That's what he said. Now, fast forward to what's it been? November. It was in August. So, like 5 months later. And then they come out and say 3 months. And then they come out and say, we concluded our investigation. Here are the things that we're going to do moving forward. to make the games safer. One of those things included they're not doing open water swims anymore. If there are going to be swim events, it'll be in a pool so that it's a lot safer. So they kind of outline like the changes moving forward, but they say that they're not going to release the details because of privacy and legal reasons of the investigation. So essentially they're not going to say like what actually happened, because there's been a lot of speculation about like, was it a cardiac event? Was it the heat of the water? Was it whatever? Like people were kind of expecting to know like what actually happened. They said that they're not going to release that. And the brother, and I'm blanking on his brother's Luka. Brother Luka put out a story yesterday, essentially saying that they were never going to release the details, and that all they were doing by saying that they were going to have an investigation and a third party were buying time for people to kind of forget about it, and so that they can like still have a season and so on and so forth. So a very scathing kind of response, which like, you know, you can read into it and like, does he have a point? I don't know. It's really tough to say. It's also tough to like imagine what he's going through as the brother, and how, you know, no matter what CrossFit does, it can never be enough, right? Like it's impossible. Like he lost his brother. And
it's not enough. It won't. No matter what they do. I mean, like, the one thing that dude, like, the thing about it is, man,
things that were navigated incorrectly. It's all speculation, man. Like I've watched a lot of YouTube videos on it and seen different takes and like whatever, but I personally don't like to weigh in on things that honestly, like, I don't fucking have the deal. Like, who knows, right?
Who knows? And CrossFit's in a shitty situation too, because
it's impossible. It's impossible.
I mean, when Don says he wants to lead with like, you know, full transparency, I think that I don't know if I would have used that term at the time, because the issue with transparency is, dude, there's potential legal and privacy repercussions here. And so you can only be as transparent as you can, given the fact that like there might be, or there is, or whatever litigation coming, right? I mean, I imagine the lawyer's like, dude, what are you talking about? You can't release that information. Like,
yeah,
that's so I mean, CrossFit's kind of got to have their hands tied in some ways. And I hope I don't know, the entire situation, the entire community, it's just, obviously it's super tragic. I just think that when I looked at the things that they came to about like what they want to do to make it better, I don't know. I get it, but we'll see how they see. I think the bigger thing that they need to figure out too is like just clear communication, man. Just like lock in on what they want to communicate about, clearly communicate it, and not go back and forth and this and that. And anyways.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's an impossible situation as well, because, you know, there are other powers that be now at CrossFit. You know, there's a board, and there's investors, and there's all sorts of layers that I'm not even going to pretend to understand beyond like, I don't know. I watched the show Succession, and I think I kind of understand how stuff like that works.
That show is awesome. Is that show still on?
No, the season finale. It's a great show. But anyway, I'm not going to pretend to know how the intricacies of a company being owned by private equity and having a board, and like how many of these decisions is Don Fall as the CEO even making versus just being the mouthpiece for other people making decisions. And he would love to quote unquote do the right thing, but like, then should he just resign? Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know what he can do, can't do, what the right thing, wrong thing, which I think a lot of people online do. They're just like, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. And it's like, dude, what do you know? You know, like you're not in those shoes. Like
you're not in those shoes
to cast stones and be like, oh, what a shitty leader, what a shitty CEO from the outside looking in. A, I think it's unproductive. B, I think you have no idea what you're talking about. Is it a shitty situation? Yes. But I did see Luka's response on social media, and it was, it's not a good look for CrossFit, man. It's unfortunate, you know, because CrossFit, for so many of us, I mean, I know you and me included, like has brought so much good and like has really shaped our careers and who we are and what we do now. So it's just a bummer to see it kind of like become this like mudslinging contest on social media so much. But yeah, man.
Dude. Well, we will keep you moderately apprised of what's occurring at a high level in the CrossFit space at times. But this podcast, you know, like a lot of what it is for me, it's like, dude, leveling up. It's about, how am I going to be the best husband, father, leader I could be? It's about, what am I doing with my training today? And how is that training going to impact me as close to being a 40-year-old man that wants to be super jacked and capable? And CrossFit is definitely a part of my my legacy, my lineage. I owe so much to it. And so we definitely will touch base on it here and there, but we're not gonna jump on this path of like being negative about something. I just don't think it's productive for anybody. So with that being said, switching gears a little bit to a more uplifting, a different subject, I should say, Gabe. How soon is too soon for Christmas music?
This is a good topic. I mean, I personally will start playing it literally all the time because I honestly love Christmas music.
Spanish or English?
No, like just traditional Christmas music. Like Feliz Navidad is like a universal.
I mean, that's everybody knows how to say Merry Christmas in Spanish.
That comes up on like every Christmas playlist you'll play. I do it after Thanksgiving. So after literally that's like a fun thing for me because you know how like you have Black Friday and that tends to be obviously a long weekend, right? Like it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for us. And we haven't done this intentionally, but it just kind of ends up working that way. That's usually the weekend we go buy our Christmas tree. That's usually the weekend that I every morning start playing Christmas music. Like it just, I don't know. It's like the turn of the season, but everything feels like it's happening earlier and earlier now. Everything.
Dude. Yep.
Like, dude, you have pumpkin spice lattes coming out in like August. It's like, what are we doing here? Black Friday deals
started like a month ago
in October. And like my sister got Starbucks the other day, and like the Christmas cups are already out in Starbucks. That keeps happening earlier. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's still kind of after Thanksgiving. But what do you think? When's too early?
So, I mean, I'm not like a huge Christmas music guy, but obviously like Ava and Ashley are. So Ashley's whole thing is like she's down for it after Thanksgiving. So she's kind of like you, and she's all in on it, right?
I think that's the natural line.
That's the natural line. But Ava's down, dude, as early as possible.
Right now.
So right. Oh no. The reason why I brought this up,
she was playing it when I was at your house.
Doesn't surprise me. What was that? How many weeks ago was that? A couple weeks ago?
Now. Yeah, because Kaden gave her a hard time, and she was like, I love Christmas music.
Yeah, so she's been playing it starting like basically November 1st. I think she's been playing it. But we're working out in the garage this morning, and we're weight training, and Ava wants to listen to Christmas music. So it's like jingle bells and you're back squatting, but it's like whatever, dude. I mean, if that's what you want. I mean, anyways, I don't really care. I mean, if I never listen to Christmas music, I'll be fine. If I listen to it all the time, I'm fine. I'm kind of neutral on it because it's whatever the kids want. Caden, he could care less. He doesn't want to listen to it at all, but Ava's all in. So because she's so excited about it, it makes me excited about it, right? I'm like, okay, that's cool, whatever. But like we definitely prioritize the classics. I think the classics over like some of the more modern stuff is legit.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
But, Christmas tree, dude. I got to ask you this. So here's a big question for all listeners out there. Fake Christmas tree or real Christmas tree? Now, before you answer, okay, real Christmas tree we've had every single year. Dude, and last year we made it a thing. We went with 40 people to go cut down a tree, had eggnog. It was like a whole thing. It was great. But when you have a regular tree, right, I get pretty concerned about fires. I get pretty concerned about them just drying up. Mm-hmm. And if we're traveling, I get pretty worried about them just getting too dried out. So this year, Ashley's debating. She's been super anti this, but she's debating about getting a fake tree that looks real. What's your take?
Dude, I'm really big on making traditions around stuff. And there's a local tree farm here that's actually just a really cool experience. And we've been doing it since, I mean, it's not that long. Obviously, Shay's 2 years old, but since he was a baby. So we've done it 2 years. And I just like to continue that. That's the only reason. I've never given much thought to the fire danger of it. But is that a big thing? Is it statistically a big thing? I get why it's obviously more of a fire danger than having maybe a flame, resistant artificial tree. But I don't know. I don't feel like every summer every Christmas season, I hear about houses catching fire because they have real trees. I didn't know that was a thing.
Okay. I'm just looking. Always turn off Christmas lights, dried out trees are a fire. It's probably just me, totally,
I've never heard of that.
Well, dude, I'd be because we want to travel during, sure. Let's just say you get your tree, I don't know, early December, whatever it is. By the time you travel, for New Year's, let's just say you're gone for 5 days for New Year's. now you have like this relatively dried out tree in your house. I don't know, dude. It's probably not a big deal. And someone's gonna be listening to this. They're gonna send me a message. Gonna be like, bro.
I mean, I wouldn't leave for 5 days with the lights on.
No, of course not. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, it's probably not even. I mean, we're probably going off on a tangent here because it probably has nothing to do with it. But this year we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, dude, I don't know. But yeah, you're probably right. I mean, I'm gonna look up some statistics. Probably gonna be like, there is a 0% chance you're an idiot. How likely is a tree fire? An average of 160 home fires are caused by Christmas trees per year. Well, that doesn't sound like a lot.
That doesn't sound like a lot.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I like, we started this tradition of going to this local tree farm and Shay picks the tree, which last year was funny because he just pointed at each one. But, we'd like to continue that. So for that reason, we go natural because honestly, it's a pain in the butt. Like the needles start falling all the time, like whatever. The good thing is for us, it's easy to like get rid of it. Like I just throw it in the pile of the rest of the brush because we live on 10 acres. So it's not that big a deal, but yeah.
Dude, we'll see what's up. But they have some legit new ones that are like that are all fake. But yeah, man. Back to the normal podcast.
Well, no, on the note of like holiday traditions, how do you feel about turkey on Thanksgiving? So this is coming out. It is Monday, December 2nd. So we've gone past Thanksgiving. But is turkey like a non-negotiable at the Khalipas?
Dude. Oh, I'm glad you brought this up.
This is a very polarizing subject.
I have a pet peeve with turkey. Okay. Here's my pet peeve. I've had it every year for Thanksgiving for as long as I can remember. And I have never, I think I've liked it once.
Does anyone actually enjoy the turkey?
I don't think anybody actually enjoys the turkey. Now, here's where the debate is. There is a debate. I have heard that if you fry it, right? Now, there's also some fire,
I know is a fire hazard.
Yeah. But I've heard if you dunk it in like the big, like the giant thing, right? I've heard it could be really good. But dude, I don't know if anybody actually likes turkey. I don't know. 99% of the time it's dried out. It's the flavor's not there. But man, it's a tradition.
So I will tell you, 2 years ago, we raised our own turkey. So we bought turkey chicks. We raised them all year round. Dude, this turkey got huge. It was like a 30-pound turkey. We processed it. How did that go down? So you have this giant turkey and you've been raising it and you have to now harvest it. Yeah.
How does that go down? So you grab it and then you cut its neck?
Yeah, they have these cones and you need really, really big ones for turkeys. We didn't do it at our place. We went somewhere because you need I don't know if you need it, but you want to have this upside down cone that you put the birds in and then just their head comes out at the bottom of the cone so that you can slit the head and
then all the blood comes out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so you took your turkey to like a harvest center.
Mm-hmm.
They throw it in a upside down cone and then the job's done.
The job's done. Then you have to take out the feathers, take out the inside, you clean it. And then, you get a turkey like you would, at the supermarket, but it's fresh. It's not frozen. Usually process it like just the week of Thanksgiving. And there's a bunch of from when we were at the farmer's market, there's a bunch of little local farms here that do turkey pre-sales and you can go and pick up the turkey at the farm and whatever. So we did that one year and dude, I brined it for like 3 days and like citrus and stuff. And if you asked me, I would say that year the turkey tasted better, but honestly, it's probably
because you had a
such a process to it, right? It was just, and there is something. This I'll stand by 100%, man. And you can relate to this in all areas of life. When you put a lot of work and process to anything, it just feels so much better once you get the fruits of it. You're this was a thing, man.
Yeah.
We went out every day, fed these birds, took care of them, whatever, and it got to this point. I think there's something so cool about that. And we've been able to do it. We actually have a steer that we're going to take to a processor this year. It'll be our first cow that we've taken from being born on the farm all the way to feeding our family. There's something really, really cool about that, if you were to blind taste test me, would I be able to tell the difference? No. But there's just something about knowing that hey, it was our work, it was our land that got us this meal that I think is really special. And that might sound cheesy, but it's 100% true. And a big reason that we did it too is to introduce our kids to this entire process. Cause I think that is something so important, so that they don't grow up thinking that, food is just this thing that you go to the supermarket, it's wrapped in plastic and that's what it is. Like, no, this thing is like, it's a being in many ways. I think it gives people like an important level of like empathy and gratitude for the food that you get, because you kind of really understand what goes into putting it on your plate. So anyway, that turkey, I would say, quote unquote, tasted better. But dude, I don't think anyone likes the turkey.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, but hey, Annie, Thor's daughter, brought up basically the subject that you were just talking about like, the journey and the hard work. And obviously we're equating this to like, results and business. And like, if things come easy, it's not as worth it. And it's kind of the same thing like what you're talking about with the turkey or with the cow. But yeah, I'm pretty convinced. I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be someone that's gonna message in about this that says, dude, I have the perfect turkey recipe. And you know what? If you have the best turkey recipe and you want to make it and come see us at one of our men's club meetups or something and bring it, dude, I'm all about it. But I'm yet to have a really good piece of turkey that wasn't requiring like, mashed potatoes and gravy along right next to it to taste really good. Where chicken, especially like a dark meat chicken, dude, hella good.
Because we're hosting Thanksgiving this year. The reason I put this on the list of things to talk about is we're hosting, and I'm not making turkey. We're just having like I'm gonna make some beef ribs and some beef sliders as like an appetizer. We're hosting and making all the food, which will be fun because usually either my parents or Ariel's parents have done it. So this year we wanted to make sure that we kind of like take our turn in the rotation, especially because our parents have been awesome with the kids. They're like always taking care of them. It's been so nice. So this is a nice way to like, hey, we'll take care of this and it'll be fun. But I was like, do you want to get turkey? And I was like, no, let's just make something else. So we're going no turkey this year.
Dude, pastrami, bro. If I had it my way, I've done pastrami before. I got to talk to Ashley. Maybe I'll do pastrami again this year. Oh, no, probably not. Anyways, but yeah, dude, I didn't realize you put that down. I thought we just randomly started talking about turkeys. That's pretty funny. Dad bod is a sign you care about your family more than yourself. You put that down.
Dude, I saw that, and we can rip into this comment if you want to.
I mean, man, that's a very bold statement right there. That's a bold one. What do you think?
So the line is, a dad bod is a sign you care about your family more than yourself. And I saw this on Instagram. I saw this with someone that was also kind of criticizing the fact that this is bullshit. But I thought it was an interesting thing to bring up because, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but that's just not true, right? Like,
see, I read that wrong. So I read that as a dad bod is a sign you care more about yourself than your family. That's what I read it as, but it's the opposite.
Well, I would say that like what you said is more accurate, right? Because so the whole idea here that I think a lot of people that obviously listen to this podcast would agree to, or hopefully agree to, is that this excuse that, hey, I want to spend more time with my kids. Like I want to be present with my family. That's why I have deprioritized myself, my health, my fitness, my time in the gym, because now I want to give all that time to my kids, is an excuse. Like, no, like that's not what you're doing. What you're doing is conveniently using the fact that, yes, you might be busier now as a dad. Yes, you might have more responsibilities. Yes, you might have less time. Yes, it might be less convenient for you to get a workout in now that you're a dad. But that doesn't mean that you care about your family like more than yourself. The real way to care about your family and the people that depend on you, and we talk about this all the time, is to take care of your health, to be a capable man, husband, and father so that you can protect and provide, not just now, not just for the next 5 years, next 10 years, but for as long as possible, because you're creating a hedge against sickness, against decrepitude, like all of those things. You prioritizing your health and your fitness, regardless of before being a dad, after being a dad, should always be the top priority, because that's what allows you to show up better for your family. So no, I completely disagree. A dad bod is a sign you just don't care, period.
A dad bod is a sign you care about your family more than yourself. Again, I don't know where this came from, but I would just disagree.
Yeah.
I don't see how someone, like, I don't look at someone. I mean, I don't know if I've ever had this reaction. If you look at someone who looks like really out of shape, and I've said to myself, you know what, man? Damn, dude, that guy, dude, he really cares about his family. Like, I've never had that like come through my mind, right? Like, you know, and generally now where I'm at, dude, like I'm at a point in my journey where, you know, again, I'm almost 40 years old. I've been around a lot of fitness for a very long time. I'm at a point where if someone's out of shape around me, it doesn't even bother me anymore. Like, meaning like, do I want all the things for them? Of course. Am I going to sit there and explain to them all the benefits? Sure. But like, I'm done like judging. I'm done. I'm just not there. I'm not there anymore. What
For
I am
sure.
though, is I'm trying to surround myself with many people who want to be on that same journey with me. And so like, it's not that I'm anti these people. I'm just for these people. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be around people who are really working to take their entire ecosystem to the next level. And as a byproduct, it just starts to weed people out. And like the men's club is a great example of that. Like if you're not like, if someone comes who's super overweight, I'm never going to judge them. I'm just gonna be a fuck yeah, dude, you're here at 6 a.m. with us. Like that's kind of how I've evolved, but I've never had that experience where, you know, I never have looked at a dad bod as a positive in any way, shape or form. And I think it's alarming to feel that way right now. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, and I think that what I'm trying to do is call a duck, in that it's a defense mechanism. Like if this is something that, you know, you would say, I would really caution you to like kind of peel back the layers. And is that just an excuse or a way to make you feel better for maybe some of the decisions that you've taken or not taken? And I like what you said about, because this is important too. When we say these things, like there is no judgment. There's zero judgment. Like I'm in no place to know what other people have gone through, what like has gotten them to the point where they're at now. I think I've been very fortunate. And honestly, I think that a lot of, yes, I've made the right decisions in many ways. Yes, I've been disciplined and prioritized this, but I know that for other people, it's just been, dude, cards have been stacked against them and it sucks. But like at the end of the day, it's like, okay, what are you going to do now? That's I think the message that I would like to get across is like, if you're listening to this and you're like, shit, you know, like I had my kid, I had my other kid, like I got injured, work got really busy, and I just like, I let myself go. Like no judgment. Like I maybe would have done exactly the same in those circumstances because it's hard. I can't say that I wouldn't. I've been very fortunate that I've always been able to continue to work on my fitness. It's always been a priority. Maybe for someone listening, like it just, they didn't know that it was that big a deal or things just got really tough. I get that. But I think that what's important is like, okay, what now? Like, what are you going to do now that you're listening to this to start changing things? That's the important thing. Like no judgment for what's been in the past. But if you're listening to this and if you feel this way and you acknowledge that like, yeah, I can be better. I can take take better care of my health. I can, you know, improve my body composition. I can improve my health markers. And you know that now, and you still decide to go down this other route, then I think that you're obviously making a mistake. But whatever, the past is in the past. Like it's how you move forward that matters.
Yeah, the transformation, like you got to be inspired to make transformations. I think for us with Train Hard and just myself in particular, like we want to help men level up. And I could say that, and I could say we're about this while simultaneously saying that like I pass zero judgment on anybody for anything. Like you are where you're at, but when you're ready, dude, we are going to help you transform. We are going to help level you up, and we are going to welcome everybody. Like that's just the way my mindset is. Like
For sure.
again, look at the men's club as a greater community. Is like, dude, when those guys show up, I don't care your race, I don't care about anything. I don't care about any financial, nothing. I don't care how out of shape you've been. I don't care if you haven't gotten off the couch for a year. The fact that you're ready to make a transformation, the fact that you're ready to step into the arena and start training, dude, that is what fires me up. And I think we're going to do a better job here at Train Hard, myself in particular, of showing those inspirational stories to captivate people so that those that are on the fence, they might just need a little nudge, you know? And like the other day, I was at the gym. This is a good example. and I was folding shirts, getting ready for Black Friday. So when this podcast comes out, Black Friday have already ended. But I was folding some shirts, getting them like pre-packaged, ready for them to be sent out. And two guys were at the noon class, and they walked upstairs after I asked them. I was like, "Hey, bro, after the noon class, come by, say what's up to me." Blah blah. So they walk upstairs. It's my buddy Eugene, my buddy Diego. I don't know if have you met both of those guys, Diego and Eugene?
Yeah. We had Eugene for the Train Hard interviews a little while back,
and then Diego. Both of them started like training with me. Started training like CrossFit style. Had not been exposed to it, like more of like higher intensity, whatever. About a year and a half ago, both of them. Dude, both of those guys have completely transformed. I mean, it is incredible. And they both hit PRs, 405 and 455 on the deadlift when we were there at the gym. This is like 2 days ago. And that's just a really good example that here they are in their early 40s or mid 40s, whatever they are. And they're in the best shape of their life. And that could happen to anybody listening to this. And like, if you send this podcast to someone, it could happen to them too. You know, like that transformation can happen. It's almost a good thing if you're out of shape, because you could just like, bro, imagine if like, I'm not going to be in the best shape of my life at 40. I'm not. Like, I might be the most skilled. I might acquire all these things, but I'm probably not going to be in the best physical shape because I competed professionally in CrossFit for 10 years. But imagine if you're 50 and you're in the best shape of your life, bro, dude, you could do it. You know what I mean? That's pretty badass.
For sure, man. And we can talk about this like a little bit more as we get closer to January, but like the direction we want to take Train Hard and the programs, specifically the ones on the app, is to give you structure with these 12-week start point, end point to transform and track that and follow something with some structure. And we've talked about this in the past. Like some people are going to continue to just want to, you know, like maybe scroll through Instagram, scroll through the Train Hard app, like kind of just take it one day at a time and train. But I am telling you, if you are someone that's listening and it's like, hey, like I really want to buckle down, make some changes and see some changes, like we're going to take all the guesswork out of that in these like 12-week blocks. The first opportunity to jump on that will be January 1st, beginning of January, obviously, with Force and Flex now both being in these 13-week quarter cycles that will take you from point A to point B, where if you stick with it, if you're consistent, if you follow some of the nutrition advice we'll put out, if you do all of those things, it's guaranteed that you're going to be a different person in 12 weeks. Guaranteed. Like you're going to look different in the mirror. You're going to feel different. You're going to be more confident. You're going to be a better man, better husband, better all of those things because of the catalyst that is fitness and all the good that comes from being committed to something for 12 weeks. Like the transformations will be in many part black and white. Like you can tell because you look like this before and you look like this after, but that's the tip of the iceberg of the things that actually transform when you do that.
Dude, 100%. 100%. I'm looking forward to those. I'm looking forward to continue putting out this message on the podcast. Before we kind of close out, I did want to just make sure that we acknowledge one thing. I'm filming some stuff for Tap Cancer out here pretty soon. I just want to make sure that if anyone's listening and they or someone they love is struggling with a child with pediatric cancer, please reach out to us. I am always willing to jump on the phone with anyone who is going through that. If I could shine any light or help in any way, please don't hesitate to let that person know, hey, I know a guy who has a podcast that's, you know, he's been through this thing. Because if I can get on the phone with someone who has a child who's suffering from pediatric cancer and make a small impact, that's a huge thing for me. And the reason why I'm bringing that up now is that one of the children...
Where should they email specifically?
Jason@th.fit. So Jason@th.fit. I mean, you can hit me up for anything, but in particular, this is something that like, if you know anyone or in the future, I hope you never know anyone, but if you do, make sure to hit me up, Jason@th.fit, because I will jump on the phone with that person immediately and provide insight and at least point them in the right direction. The reason why I bring this up is because last night, you know, one of the community members at our kids' school was found out that she was diagnosed with the same thing that Ava had. And it was just really, you know, obviously like really, you know, it happened, right? Like, you know, we got the call when we were having dinner as a family. we were having dinner as a family and we got the call that this person got it. And it's a good reminder for me to continue to put out the message that I am here as a resource, and I'll be there for this family if they need me, or any other family, because a lot of the times, especially as a man, as a dad, I mean, dude, I don't need to relive some of that, but like, I wish I had just, even though it was hard to ask for, I had a few resources that I was able to lean on. But I think just having someone there to kind of like hold your hand a little bit through that initial process, I think would be really helpful. So I'm here to help.
We've had a lot of, I have a question for you. We've had a lot of conversations, obviously, with guests about faith and like kind of where you're at in that journey. Was that ever a piece that you leaned on during those times? And if not, why not?
Yeah. I mean, I think some of those are like, what's the word I'm looking for? They're they're like forcing factors. Does that make it forcing events? Where you really like start thinking like, oh man, like, and this same thing happened to us, 9 months ago when we were having some additional challenges with Ava, where you really start thinking like, dude, I need some support. I need something. And so, yeah, man, I would visit the chapel because, I spent, months and months and months at the hospital. I'd visit the chapel all the time. And at the time, you're just trying to create a relationship. You're trying to just answer some big questions. And it gave you a little bit of solace. And so, yes, that was definitely something I'd done on a regular basis, because they have one at the hospital. I imagine they have one at every hospital, but in particular at Stanford, they do. Like they have like a full, like it's not like it's a non-denominational room where people just know like, this is where you go.
Yeah. Was it then something that, just because I know that you've been very open about this on the podcast, that's why I'm asking on the podcast, how like recently, you've called it like a journey to kind of like explore faith a little bit more, get more involved. And this is, at least from what I've heard, has been a little bit more recent. Was it something that kind of like tapered out after the hard times? And then,
I think, go ahead. Yeah.
No.
I think when you're going through something tough, and Jelly Roll, I think, says this in one of his lyrics. It kind of, I'm a big Jelly Roll fan. He's like, basically, you're only talking to God when you need something. And I think when something hard comes, you seek that relationship because it's so difficult. And so I think that was that way for like a couple of years. And then it kind of tapered down a little bit. And then I'd say like the last year or two, especially through this podcast, right? We make it no secret on this podcast that like, we have guests that talk about this, and we are 100% open to talk about it because I think it's great. I think we should talk about it. But I started ramping up. Like this morning, for example, I rode the C2 bike for 30 minutes, and I listened to the Book of John as an example. Like that's a real example. And it's just something that I'm continuously. Now I'm at a point, I think, that it's going to be something I'm going to kind of lean into indefinitely. But for a while, it's kind of like up and down. I think now it'll be like still there.
What changed?
Oh man, I think getting older, dude. I think getting older and starting to ask the big questions, I think has changed. I think the podcast has opened my eyes more to different people and their perspectives. And I think what has changed? I think that I'm seeking. I think just as you get older, man, you seek like, dude, what are we trying to do? What are we really trying to do? And I think when you start asking some of those difficult questions, it starts really opening you up to these other things. And I think if nothing else, man, I could go down this journey, and it's not going to do anything bad for me. It's only going to make me a better person. It's only going to make me more aware of what other people are interested in. Like it's only going to make me more willing to have conversations because I'm educating myself. So like, why wouldn't I do it? Like why wouldn't I pursue that and really try and understand it? And then maybe a year or two from now, I might decide it's not the right path, but at least I've gone through that journey. And I think that everyone should go through some type of faith-based journey to figure out what they want to do.
Yeah. I think so much also changes. At least for me, having kids, having kids makes you ask a lot of big questions, It's weird, man. It's like I have times where like I'm just like watching them do whatever, right? Like play, figure something out. And it's still, and maybe this is because they're still young. It's such a weird, like I almost go into this state where I feel like I'm like watching a movie of it going down. Like I'm like removed from it because it feels so surreal that like, you like created these beautiful humans that you're like responsible for them like growing up. And it makes you think about things very differently. Whereas in the past, I think everything was just about like, what you're going to have to eat next, like what's going to be your next like trip, whatever. And then once you start thinking about like laying a foundation for other people in a really meaningful way that you arguably care more about yourself, care more about than yourself, I think it forces you to have some really deep, sometimes uncomfortable questions. And that I think is something that just inevitably happens when you have kids. And it's tough to describe. Like even now it's tough to describe, but I would assume that if you're listening and you have kids, you're kind of like nodding your head because you like kind of get it. And I would assume on the flip side that, if you haven't gotten to that point yet, it's like, what is this guy talking about? It's like really difficult to understand.
Yeah. And that's fine. And then
for sure,
I think when you go through difficult adversity, right? Like really like some shitty stuff, you start leaning in even more, or you lean away, right? But we're choosing to lean in, and everyone goes through their own level of stuff, and they have to figure out what works for them. But I agree with you, dude. I think having kids, having this big perspective, you start asking yourself, and then I also think it could be a really motivational driver. Dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I want to make an impact. Like, dude, I'm not here to like play games. I'm only here for so long, and I want to make an impact. Like, and it becomes like this big driver of like of doing cool stuff. So yeah, that's the way I look at it. But I just wanted to make sure I acknowledge that because this just happened yesterday, and I think it's an important note to remind people of that. When things like that, and it was really cool to see the community come together. I mean, I guess they're putting together a food train. I guess like, every night they drop off food, and they like got 3 months like that. Right. So it's cool to see how community rallies around these situations. But I think that, like I said, getting on the phone with people is always helpful. It's actually a really good reminder for me. There's a guy that I had talked to about 6 months ago who's going through it. I want to follow up with him. So, but dude, Gabe, this has been a fun conversation, man. Turkeys and whatever else we got into.
Hyrox turkeys and fake Christmas trees.
Hyrox turkeys and fake Christmas trees. We appreciate you guys checking out the podcast. Make sure to go back, check out all the other episodes with really awesome guests. I mean, really, really great guests. And, we greatly appreciate you taking the time to sit down, to enjoy these podcasts with us, to learn, to grow. That's exactly what Gabe and I are trying to do through these podcasts. And if you can, share these episodes with a friend, share them with a family member, share them for someone who wants to be on the path, right, of training hard and getting after it. And leave the podcast a rating and review. Keep getting after it, and see you guys again next week.
Let's go.